you doing? This is Ivan from Bitesize Wisdom for Busy People, and I'm back to share another idea to help you live a happy, conscious life. Today our topic is on influences, the sources of influences that we have in our life, and the influences that we need in order to grow in our self-development or spiritual journey. But before we get into it, I need to touch upon a few other ideas in order to try to make all this make sense and hopefully offer you some value. So if you have ever read or studied any of the great spiritual texts or esoteric books of the world, a common theme that you will find is that they say we are asleep and we need to wake up, and the sleep they are referring to is psychic sleep. They say that most of the population is operating from a level of being of where they are in a type of self-hypnosis. We are hypnotized with the contents of our mind, with our thoughts, with our emotions, with our bodies, and this can easily be verified by objective self-observation. If you can observe yourself objectively in the moment, you will see that most of our day is spent inattentively. We drift in and out of daydreaming, and any thought, emotion, or mood has the power to consume us and take away our simple sense of existing in the moment. So for much of the day we forget that we even exist. We're just half conscious. So we need to wake up. And being asleep is a relative thing. Some people are more asleep than others. Some people are completely identified with their thinking, with their emotions, with their bodies, that they derive their entire sense of identity from all these various aspects. And in time, we become very conditioned because of all the various experiences that we had and our attachments to our story. So we end up living very habitual lives, and the defining feature of a habit is that it's mechanical in nature. So through all the various memories that we accumulate, we live our life, we meet life, and life is always fresh, but we're always seeing it through the filters of the past. And the reason I mention all this is because this accounts for the most abundant source of influence that we receive in the world. Because if most of the population is at this lower level of consciousness, then whatever we create from this level will be reflected in our world, in our society. So you will see that in our books, in our politics, in our business, in our music. All this is a reflection of the consciousness that created it. So these are all mechanical influences, and if you only consume these influences, then you will only develop the outer aspect of your being, which here is just your personality, the most superficial part. So all these influences can only develop your personality, because being of the world, they can only develop your persona, where you show to the world. But if you are on a self-development or spiritual journey, your goal is to grow your inner being in order for you to realize your true nature, your higher self. So we need to assimilate higher influences. So now I want to talk about higher influences. So the first source of higher influences are found in fragments, and these fragments are found in all the great spiritual texts like the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Bible, and many other great spiritual books or esoteric books. But they are just fragments because these great teachings were reinterpreted from that lower level of consciousness, so they end up getting distorted. So we need to really just contemplate a lot of these teachings and try to extract the deep meaning that is often buried within these teachings. But because their source is from conscious humanity, from realized beings, they have the power to grow our inner being, grow our understanding. And the next level of higher influences are just direct influences from a realized being. So if you are so fortunate to come across a realized being, they can directly transmit these higher teachings, these higher ideas and wisdom to you, even just with their presence, like quantum entanglement. Some teachers, like Ramana, he was just with his presence, with his silent presence, he he transmitted this higher knowledge. And also, if you're at a certain level of being, if you just learn to turn inward and just learn to listen to your inner guru, you can put yourself in a position to receive these higher influences. You know, some people call it grace. And as we progress on our journey, as we grow our level of understanding, our level of being, and we assimilate these higher influences, then we will attract more higher influences, and then we will be able to distinguish between the influences of the world and these higher influences, and be able to grow our being to the point where we can discard all that is false, all that is temporal, and start to become in tune with that which is timeless, with our true nature, and eventually get to the point where we can just be our beingness all the time and just become established in that. And that will be when we are just getting these higher influences just directly. We will be in that. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed that short video. I hope that you will seek out these higher influences and assimilate these higher influences in order to grow your inner being, and to also be able to distinguish between the mechanical influences of the world, because there's many teachings out there also that pose as being higher teachings, but they are just the result of mechanical humanity. But only the higher can help you grow. So I hope you guys are doing good. Take care, and wherever you are, peace.